Hi, everyone. How's it going? What's new? It's Saturday night. Woo! Should we throw a party or not? Oh, what a day. It is the 18th of November. Can you believe it's the 18th of November? I just feel like I blinked my eyes. It was like just back to school, and here we are, 18th of November. Anyhow, I hear my cat. All good. Anyway, I am just jumping on to get a little bit of work done, and then I'm going to relax for the rest of the night. I've had a day of play today, so I need to be a little bit of a good girl and get some work done. But then I'm looking forward to the rest of the weekend of just kind of being hangout time. But anyway, if we're new to getting to know each other, hello, my name is Becky. I am a full-time reseller, and I'm an everything seller. So I sell anything and everything as long as it's small enough to fit in a box and it can ship. I sell it. I do have a few things, as you guys know, if you've been part of my journey, I have a few things that are currently listed for sale that are larger than what fits in a box. And good golly, those are like the bane of my existence. I don't like selling things that have to be pickup or anything complicated. But for the reasons I've mentioned previously, I always get myself into these pickles where I end up selling things on Facebook Marketplace that I don't want to be selling, but I'm happy to do it for those select few clients. In addition to all of that, I am a consignment seller. So that means in addition to my own things, I'm also selling things for other people. And even newly added to this mix, I've just started my journey of live selling on YouTube, which has been so awesome and so fun. And it just has me like kind of keyed up. I guess I'm kind of keyed up always anyway, but it's my newest thing. So what I have to work on tonight is I say it's an unboxing, but it's really an unbagging, and I have a few bags to get through. And I've been out all day with my friends, so that's why I'm working on a Friday night, but it's on a Saturday night. But it's not so bad because I'm here with friends. So, and speaking of friends, Heidi, how are you? How's it going, girl? Hey, you want to jump on with me? I came on StreamYard in case anybody's around and wants to jump on live. Feel free if you want to. I will drop, let's see, invite, copy, paste. Oh, you know what I need to do? They taught me. I can be taught, people. They taught me how to pin my things, but I have to go onto YouTube to do it. So hang tight and I will do that. I'm going to pin that to the top. Look how sophisticated I am. Oh, if I can actually do it, that would be awesome. You know what I should do? This is what takes me a minute. What I should do is, subscribe to my own channel, huh? Well, that's interesting. That might help things because then I'll get like pop-ups, right? What I should do is save my channel and keep it easily accessed so that when I want to get it, I know where to find it. Okay, here I go. I am about to jump into my comments and I'm going to pin that one. If I could figure out how the heck to do that. Oh, guys, why is this more complicated than it needs to be? Hold on. Look, there's no comments. Oh, is this coming without the... Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, I get it. Here we go. Got it. So anyhow, Heidi, it's good to see you. I feel like we haven't chatted for a little bit. Oh, here she is. Hold on.
Hi.
Dun, 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 dun. You're
Did you feel so high tech?
Oh, hold on. Let me make you louder. How are you?
Good. Am I not loud enough?
You weren't on, but it was my fault because you know what I've been doing? I have been leaving Glamma and buying space. Do you know? I know you know Glamma. Do you know buying space? Myra, yeah. So I've been leaving their videos playing in the background on like super low volume so they can get the watch hours up. But so that like overnight you don't hear people like talking through my computer. So I had the volume way
I've
down.
done that for friends too. That's fun. My husband is frequently gone, and when he's gone, I'll set his computer to watch YouTube videos.
Oh, see, that's smart. So then you have like another channel and it's kind of going like in another room. Yeah. I've had multiple tabs up at the same time, but then it gets a little crazy. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to help everybody, but it's like crazy town with stuff going on. So what are you up to tonight? What's going on?
Oh, I was just going through a pile of stuff that I bought at a little outlet store today. They call it an outlet. It's a thrift store. I'm hoping tomorrow to film a haul because I have
Okay.
I have a
Can
pile.
you give
I
us
have
a
a pile
teaser?
there, and I have a pile over here. What?
Can you give us a teaser? Like, give us like one or two of your best
I've got
things.
some really weird stuff today. I'll show
I
you
love
one
weird.
fabulous thing from yesterday and a weird
Okay.
thing from today.
Were you shopping yesterday too?
Yes.
I'm so jealous.
So this is a pair of men's trousers, dress trousers, which
Okay.
everybody hates. Nobody wants to look at the men's dress trousers. But if you
But
ever do, sorry,
I see Red Label. What is the brand? Isaiah? I don't know that brand.
Isaiah
Okay.
Milan, no, Napoli, Isaiah
Oh,
Napoli.
it's an Italian. It's an
It's an
Italian.
Italian brand.
Yes.
These are wool and silk.
Ooh.
And there's this brand of dress trousers is sold at, like Saks and Neiman and all that for
Yes.
$1,500 a pair. And I found
One
these
pair
in
of
my little
pants?
town.
Oh
I don't
my
know
god.
why. They do have a flaw, which the seam is open,
Oh, that's
but
easy to repair.
I can
Yeah.
fix that in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to list them for 90.
I think you can go higher.
Well,
You
I like to sell things.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Heidi, very well said. That just put me in my place, didn't it?
The more expensive something is, and the more obscure the brand is, the
Yeah.
smaller your customer base
Yes.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to persuade one of them to part with 150 is harder than 90. You know what I
I know
mean?
it is. I agree. I agree.
Because
And
my most expensive stuff has always taken the longest to sell. And I don't want to be that person anymore. So these are so soft. They're flannel.
oh,
Actually,
okay.
well, wool can be made into flannel, not just tweed or gabardine or any of the other weaves.
Yeah.
This is actually a wool and silk flannel pants, and they're stunning. They're $1,500 worth of trouser.
Ooh. How do you define what is your definition of flannel? Is it just the feel that defines it as flannel
Yeah,
or the actual weave?
it is a weave because it's got a nap,
Right. Right. Yeah.
right? It's got that
Uh-huh.
soft,
That loop. Yeah.
rushed feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your approach when you go into these thrift stores? Are you like, I'm hitting up the men's trouser section, or is it just something that like you casually happen upon?
Say I have got 2 hours to spend in a store.
Yeah.
I will typically spend at least half an hour in men's
Really?
every time.
Okay.
Every time.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I have a new consignment client coming on board. I'm not going to say who he is, but he is someone who reached out to me who has designer custom made tailored suits. He works in Manhattan and he has no kids and has money to spend on luxury items like that. And so kind of like what you're saying, the market for this custom tailored suit, and he's like 6 foot something. So it's it's just getting
Funnel
narrower
gets very
and
small with
right.
you.
But the person who ends up with this parcel of clothing or any of the items will be one lucky person because they're beautifully constructed and all that stuff. But it's that luxury men's market is small, but I do feel like there are people with the discretionary income who will pay up for nice things.
Yes.
And I'm always the kind of person when I don't know something like a brand, I'll play with it and start it high, but then I have to take that responsibility of lowering the price over time, which is a burden that I think I love your approach of saying $90, we're going to get it moving, we're going to get it going and enjoy that sale.
Yeah, more and more I'm learning that I want to be just below the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If people are asking or if people are getting between 30 and 70, I'd like to be like 45, 50.
So how recently did you make that mental shift?
About a year ago.
And was there something that caused it to happen? Were you just like, enough of this, I want things to move? Was it because of the economy? Was it?
I had done an inventory audit, which I don't do often enough.
Okay.
But where I went through and checked every single piece and made sure everything was listed and that everything that was listed I actually had.
Yes.
And that it was stored where I thought it was stored. That
Right.
kind of an audit.
Yeah.
And I was surprised how many really good things I had that hadn't sold.
Mm.
And I
And you felt like the pricing was the main
went back
culprit.
and comped them again, and I was I was not way out of line, but
Mhm.
I was above the middle for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that you've adjusted it, you're seeing things moving quicker
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I
You
just
ever see
recently
people? Oh, go ahead.
No, I just did a video where I looked at my Poshmark sales for October and listed all the things that I sold in 30 days and then 7 days or less in
Yes.
October.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't list them in all in October. Does that make sense? They were October sales and they either sold in 30 days or less.
Right. Okay.
And it was a mixture of price points,
Hmm.
but some of them were items that, went for 35, 40, $45 that I know a year ago I would have been trying to get more than 50 for.
Yes. And there's a value in keeping things moving, keeping your store active, and I need one of those. Yeah.
The longer
Yeah.
you have it, the more likely it is to become less desirable, not more desirable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. I agree. And I'm always thinking about leaving dollars on the table. Like, if this
Mhm.
could go for
Yeah.
something. And like, for example, speaking of slacks and trousers, I have a few pairs of like Ann Taylor, J. Crew, Banana Republic, women's wear, mall brand, but like nice small brand, just regular work pants. And I have sold some of them for certain dollar amounts. And some of them now, I'm like, well, I have sold these for this much in the past. I'm going to hold out. I'm holding out. And it's like, Becky, just drop the price and just keep them moving. But that's like a mental shift. And I do think being a consignment seller, sometimes that works against me because I do feel like somewhat obligated
But you
to,
get what you can for them.
yeah. And that's on me. None of my consigners are ever
You
like,
said that.
yes. And they've never given me actually one person one time gave me if this doesn't sell for this much, I want it back. And
Yeah.
then when I gave it back to her, she's like, actually, I don't want to list it again. So I was like,
I'm not
okay.
as attached to it as I was before.
And people just want it out of their life and they want to get some money back for what they spent
Mhm.
on it, right? So this is all in my head. This is all on me. And I will say in the last 6 months or so, I've gotten much better about saying my consigners don't have any expectations of me. I should treat these items as I would treat things I'm selling on my own. And if that means lowering the price and moving them along, because I can't possibly be good to them by taking in enough inventory
And
and
you have
moving.
how many items active?
I have, it's probably around 1900. I
And that's
have,
a lot to try to keep track of to lower prices,
yeah,
right?
to go in and touch it and play with it and
Yeah,
touch it
play
and
with
play
it
with
and
it for
adjust it
sure.
and
Yeah.
relist it and all of
Yeah.
that.
And there's a time expenditure that I have to associate with that would my consigner or me rather spend this time on a new listing than playing with an old
Yeah.
listing. And I do think also, so it'll be coming on my 3-year anniversary coming soon of reselling. And I do think that as I've been growing as a reseller, I've gotten much more proficient. Like the process, I've gotten so much more streamlined, but also in having a better breadth of knowledge on what things go for and
Yeah.
where I am with things
You
so
don't have
that
to
I can,
spend as
yeah, I
much
can
time in research.
confidently,
Yeah.
yeah, and that I can confidently list something and say, well, sure, I could list this for X dollars, but I know really it's going to land around this amount. Let's be real with it. Whereas previously I'm like, I'm not really sure. Let's just throw it up high and see what happens. So it's a journey. And I think in
Yeah.
life, I've had certain like rules and things, guidelines that I've adhered to that keep my life moving smoothly on the track. And I've been hesitant to deviate from those rules because when I follow the rules, I know the results. And when you go off program, when you go off the rules, the results may vary, right? But with my business, I'm learning if I can play with some different things and try some different things, it's sometimes worth the risk. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
get one of those bracelets that says WWHD. What would Heidi do?
And when I'm sourcing even, I like to always pick a few fun things that are a total experiment. You know,
Mhm.
I wonder if I can sell this,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing. Or like I feel it should be saved. Or I got a St. John jacket that is totally stained, but I think
Okay.
I can get it clean.
So can I tell you I love everything about my business. I'm so smitten with reselling. Like I really do just love everything about this. the only thing that I hate about reselling is that dirty word that starts with the letter S. Stain. The stains item that, like, and flaws, buttons, holes, threads, all that stuff doesn't bother me. The stains, if I see a stain on something, it becomes like a crusade of me thinking I can save the item and trying to fix it. And I need to call it time of death. I need to call it
Oh,
sooner.
do you persist and you keep trying other things and like going on
Sometimes,
and on? Oh,
yeah. Well, I wouldn't maybe if I launder it twice or 3 times, but sometimes I I'm like, well, I'll try to treat it with something and I'll forget. Did I try this a second time or did I try? And then it like goes back in the wash and I try something else. I just need to say this has a stain.
you
List the
get
stain.
in my house, you get one chance with spray and wash, and if that don't,
Yes. Well, I think because I've been successful at getting stains out in the past. Do you notice a theme here
oh
where I'm
yeah,
like, oh, I've had
that
success
word,
selling a pair of
it's
Ann
in
Taylor
that.
pants for a certain amount, and so I'm not willing to like deviate from the program.
And I wanted to go back and talk about your rules and following them because it works, you get results.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know someone near and dear to me who is like that, and really, plotted out and stuck to the and did the things, and it worked until something shifts, and then why isn't this working anymore?
Yeah.
Or why doesn't it feel good anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Or right, because I mean, the world just keeps changing,
Yeah.
and your tried and true rules won't. I mean, and you knew they wouldn't match up for every circumstance,
Right. Right.
but in by and large, big picture, they
Mhm.
worked. If you did the right thing, right? But then you always reach a stage of life or an outside circumstance, or you learn something new, and the the rules just literally don't fit
Yeah.
anymore.
And you have to be willing to change with the ever-changing world that you live
You
in.
do, you
Hmm.
do, or
Yeah.
you do what my husband calls getting off the bus. He used to tune pianos. He started doing it. He went back to college at the age of 40, and he learned to tune pianos as a way to make money while he was in
How cool.
college.
Yeah.
He also gave private lessons, and he was a harbor master at the marina and all these jobs so he could go to school.
Random. Yeah.
But he learned to tune pianos, and so he was in a lot of people's homes
Mm.
and people that he didn't know,
Right.
right?
Strangers.
In town, in the country, lake mansions and little farmhouses and everything. And he
Yeah.
says, and I could always tell as soon as I walked in what year they got off the bus.
Ah. All right. So what did he mean by that? Was that the year that they stopped
They stopped making
progressing? Or,
changes in their
yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
They stopped getting new draperies occasionally, or
Yeah. The year they
rearranging the furniture even,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
the carpets would be
Stuck in a time warp.
yes, stuck
Yeah.
stuck someplace. And it was more common in older people.
Yeah.
But he said, he could tell some people had just gotten off like 10 years ago.
Like got
And
off the bus. I love that expression. That's so
they got off
crazy.
the bus and they decided, I'm going to stay right here.
Right. I'm
And
comfortable
they
here
might have
and
been perfectly content and comfortable, but they probably weren't growing.
right, right. I read recently a study, and I forget, or maybe I heard it somewhere that said that addicts, like alcoholics or drug addicts, they are maturing up until the point when their addiction kicks in and when they start to have problems, and they will never mature past that point. Like they get stuck in that zone of maturity. I've also heard like artists, people who are artistic, their artistic skills stop until the point when they stop regularly practicing. So like I can do stick figures really, really well. And that's like like the extent of my abilities because I stopped producing art at like second grade. And so that's kind of an interesting concept that like, are we continuing to evolve? Are we continuing to grow as a person? Or are we like stuck in a rut or stuck in a time
We
bubble?
hit a spot where we were very comfortable and
that's where it stopped. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So years when I was in college, I saw a therapist who was, not every therapist is created equal. And I think different people come in your life. What's that?
They're just people.
They're just people. Yeah, they're not like right.
Right.
And then also like in different phases of our life, we need different people and different information at different times of our life. But I was feeling really stressed. It was, I guess, maybe like my junior or senior year of college, not knowing what the next chapter was going to hold. And it was just too open-ended for me to grasp. It was almost like, you know how they say, like, don't tell your kids you can be anything. Yeah, it was just too open-ended. And I was like, well, but what do I want to do? And it's like, well, be anything you want to be. Well, what does that mean? You know?
Yeah.
And she diagnosed me with something called unrelenting standards. And she gave me like a whole booklet of information about it. And it was helpful to have a name for what this character trait, but it was basically what I just mentioned about like having a standard of living, whatever that was. It was rules or standard that I had, a code of ethics or whatever that I had chosen to live my life by, totally self-imposed. But it was like, you know, when you have high standards for yourself, you set a benchmark and it's like, this is where you need to be to continue to perform at this level. Don't deviate, don't get off the bus, don't like, you know, and to stick forward. And that's a really good safety net so that, you know, if you keep doing this, the results will probably be in line with, consistent with what you've expected. But it can be kind of thankless. And especially when you have a high benchmark, it can be hard to do that to yourself. And so since having children,
periodically you find out there's no there.
Yeah. Yes.
You get there and you've already set new standards.
Right. Yes.
And do you have a hard time celebrating milestones, or do you like not want to make a big deal out of accomplishments or achievements or things? Because
no, actually, I think the opposite. I like to celebrate the win, but I am very, very goal oriented and very like driven. And I do think so, like, since having children, you know, once you have kids, your life is not your own anymore. And any plans, goals, standards, like things that you're on a path, you're not the boss anymore, right? You know, so you just have to like let some of that go. And I will say I do feel liberated since I've become more forgiving of myself, but also just been like, you know what, we don't need to be this structured. But I do think that because I don't have a boss in my business, I am the boss, I am the owner, I'm the CEO. I've set business policies or best practices that keep me in line, like listing goals, habits, standards that I want to meet every day to keep myself accountable. Because I can be too loosey-goosey as a boss. And some of these things I've learned aren't serving me. For example, if the stain doesn't come out with 1 or 2 stain treatments, let her go, move it along. If, you know, the pricing, maybe the market has changed, let it go, drop the pricing, Becky. And I am learning, but I have to be cognizant of some of these hangups. You know, awareness is the first the first step, really.
It's the only step.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm reading a book by Eckhart Tolle. Have you ever read about it?
Yeah.
And I'm reading it for the 3rd time, but I'm not reading it this time. I'm transcribing it.
Wow. Why are you transcribing it? Do you feel like you're processing it on a deeper level with
Yes.
Yes. Which book is it?
It's A Good Earth. No, A New Earth is the one I'm
A
reading.
New Earth.
New Earth. And I thought about typing it, but I'm too good a typist. The words just flow right in my eyes and out my fingers, and I can type for half an hour and not even really know what I typed. So I'm writing it, I'm transcribing it, and I can only do a little bit each day until my hand hurts.
Yeah.
But I don't have any. Initially, I wanted the perfect pen, and I've tried out 6 different pens, and I thought, okay, where should I stop and start? No, stop and start wherever you get the idea to stop and start. And you can close my door, honey. You want to say hi?
Hi, honey.
This is Becky. This is Kurt.
Hi, Kurt. It's good to meet you. Heidi was just bragging about you. And you know what? I'm going to use a new Kurtism. I'm going to talk about people in terms of when they got off the bus.
That's great. That's great. Nice meeting you.
You too.
Okay, you can close the door. Sorry.
All the time you want.
But I stopped putting all these rules on having this be the perfect thing, because the reason I'm doing it as a meditation and to take it in more deeply.
Yeah. Have you heard of the saying, done is better than perfect?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And you remind me a lot of one of my daughters, because she actually has written her own values and standards and, you know, things that, her intentions, and she does
Yeah.
she reevaluates it every year in a very thoughtful, emotional, empathic way, not a corporate way, if you
Right,
know what
right,
I
right.
mean.
Yeah.
But it's important to her to know what her rules are for herself.
Yeah.
And most of the time when she's gotten the most angry with me in her life, which is not often, it's when I tried to get her to loosen up on herself a little bit.
Yeah.
The day I
That's
told her,
scary.
honey, you just need to be a good enough mom. She was so offended. And I said, well, what is the opposite? And she couldn't hear me for 2 weeks when I talked about it, but she took it in. And I said, because we eventually got to the opposite of good enough mom is not good enough mom. That's all it is. It's two sides of the coin. Good enough mom, not good enough
It's
mom.
black and white. Yeah.
And it's are you not good enough mom? She said, well, I think I am. And I said, well, then you are good enough.
Good enough. Yeah. Yeah.
I said, some days you can be fabulous and amazing,
Right.
but all you have to do is
Yeah.
be good enough.
Good enough. Yeah. And why do we put those pressures on ourselves to be more than that?
And
Like,
they aren't
yeah.
achievable. I mean,
Right.
that's the
Right.
crazy thing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a lovely conversation. It was actually just yesterday. I was having coffee with two of my friends from England, and they were saying it was so remarkable to them coming to the US, having kids in the school system, because there's an expectation of getting 100% or 90% even on the grades, and in sports being like a star player. And they said there's not this culture of that in England at all. And it's like, show up for sports and enjoy them, but you don't have to be the best player. Go to school and get good grades, but you don't have to have this kill yourself mentality of overachieving. And they said, maybe it's living on the East Coast because our proximity to Manhattan and a very achievement oriented geographic area of the
All the
United
Ivy League schools and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you lived in California where it's like more, hey man, beachy, everything's cool,
Right.
or even like other parts of the country that have different priorities, not that either is better or worse, just different focus. It
Yeah.
might have been different, but they were really astounded by this expectation of excellence here. And I think being a mom in today's culture with YouTube and TikTok and all these ideals of perfection, like, are you my daughter used to like to watch these moms like making bento boxes for their kids in the morning. Let's get ready for school, mom's making these bento boxes. And it was just cute. She was
And
just curious.
I feel sorry for young women these days, because are you familiar with Clubhouse, the app where you can talk to
Yeah.
people?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I was on Clubhouse a lot during the pandemic and up until probably late last fall when Kurt got sick recently. But I was always listening to women your age, anybody basically 40 and under, and everybody seems to have anxiety.
Yeah.
And
And it's getting worse now.
it's worse. And because when I was a young mom, I was a mom at 19, so I was a pretty young mom, but even into my 20s and 30s, the only people I had to compare myself to and judge myself with were the people that I knew in my town.
Right. In your close circle, and you
My
knew them face
family,
to
the
face.
people at church, my kids' friends, parents.
And you knew their
It was a very small
backstories.
group.
Yeah.
And we were all pretty much the same.
Right.
There were a few that thought they were better and a few that we thought should be better, but we didn't have so much input from,
Yes.
we had 3 television channels.
Right. But so that you just boiled it right down, like the input. If you think about how much information are we having access to, but it's actually misinformation, because that
So
input
much
that I'm
is,
receiving as a young mom, that's not realistic. When I'm watching some mom making this perfect little bento box for her little Johnny or Susie in the morning, and my life is like, come on kids, let's get on the bus. And it's not a realistic standard to set my parenting by. And your daughter, to her point, like, am I good enough? Does that make me feel lackluster? Are my kids missing out somehow? I mean, I have excused myself of all of that, and I love my family dynamic, as crazy as we are. This is who we are, take us or leave us. But you have to really work to say, this input that I'm receiving, these benchmarks that I'm measuring myself against, it's not realistic. You raising your kids and having the people who you knew in your close proximity, you knew where they came from, you knew how much laundry was, out on their sofa or whatever. And
Right.
you could look at them in the eye and say, I know you, I love you, we're here together. When you're looking at people on social media presenting this version,
slice that they want you to see.
yes. And you have to actually tell yourself, like, self-talk, that is not the realistic standard by which I should be creating my parenting playbook by, because it's unrealistic.
More real than, at least when I watched the Partridge Family, I knew that was not real.
Right.
And I did not have to raise my kids the way she was, because we couldn't all sing and dance.
Right. And by the same respect with reselling, we're seeing that little slice that other resellers are putting out there. It's so easy. Sales are great. All these stacks and piles of, look how much I brought to the post office and how much my net profits were this week and all these things.
Yeah, I had to stop Instagram almost completely because I wasn't learning anything, and at my age, it takes a lot to make me lose my self-esteem by showing me a picture of something. But I realized that somebody was seeing this and feeling bad, and then that made me feel bad for them.
Yeah.
I have some friends that I still look at their stuff on Instagram, but mostly not.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you said that, because I have Instagram for my personal life, and I think I posted one thing ever, and I don't go on there. I go on Facebook very, very infrequently.
I'm never on Facebook anymore. My husband's addicted to it, but I'm never there.
Well, I had to remove it from my life because it was toxic for me. And
Facebook was the worst platform. I got slapped so hard on Facebook by so many different reseller groups when I first started, just by pointing out something which I knew to be true that people were misinformed about. I'd say, oh, well, actually, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Particularly about eBay, because so many resellers at that time were starting on Poshmark and trying to sell on eBay.
Yeah.
But I was kind, and I think I was kind, and said, careful, it's actually this, you might do some more research, and then just get smacked by the leaders of these 3 different groups that happened to me. And I thought, okay, Heidi, clearly you don't belong here.
Yeah. No, well, so that's what I was going to ask you, because I've been flirting with the idea of having Instagram for my business. So creating a separate account. And previously I was under the impression that I had to link my personal and my business. And I understand that I can keep them in fact separate as long as they're linked to 2 different email accounts and all that.
2 different ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel better about that. I don't want my friends and family seeing, like, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy this? Like flashing.
See, I can't figure out what purpose Instagram has in my business. It has value in Heidi having friendships with other people in the same business.
Right.
But it doesn't help me sell things.
To sales. Right. So
and it doesn't. Poshmark, it just, maybe if you had a huge following.
Yeah.
Similar to huge followings on YouTube, I know those people sell to their viewers. I know they do.
But those people work to curate that audience too. It doesn't just happen. Exactly. Like, you have to put in the hours to make.
And they don't sell anything and everything the way I do. So you can pretty much, like Mackenzie at McThriftseed, you watch her. She has a pretty curated kind of taste in her closet, and I know that she sells to viewers.
She's on Instagram too.
Lori Tata sells to viewers, but not as much, because she's really shifting her focus to other things on her YouTube channel. So, but similar to Instagram, though, if there are people with great style and show things and show the outfits, or they show the vintage or whatever, and over 2 or 3 years they built a huge following and they sell to people. But I'm not willing to. I'd rather put that time into listing more stuff.
Yes. Right.
That's how I make my money, is listing stuff.
Yes.
Not by spending hours a day on Instagram,
Yeah. And so I was thinking about it, You're right. So it's a way to stay connected with the reselling community and being on these groups and getting information. I was thinking, I think with
You can
Poshmark,
instant message there when it's really hard to communicate on YouTube. If you have friends on
other people,
YouTube, you can
right?
connect with them on Instagram and then you can DM them. So
Yes, and it's
that's
private.
nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Or even
And
have
it's
private video talks. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's like a FaceTime kind of thing. So
Yeah.
and I think that also that is more instant than sending emails back and forth.
Yeah.
And I heard you can do Instagram lives, but I also
Yep.
think the lives only go to your viewers, right? Same thing like YouTube. Like if I wanted to start live selling on Instagram, I would need to have followers. It's not just going to
Right.
be
Exactly.
like people aren't just going to be like, oh, there's somebody I don't know selling things. I guess maybe you get an occasional, viewer or two like that. But
Yeah.
so kind of thinking about the platform, but
Yeah. I've been on Instagram as a reseller probably 5 years and I only have 1,300 followers.
right. Yeah. So, and I don't think that it's a valuable use of my time to
Right.
start really dialing to try to get viewers. But I also, so that's where I am. I just started with this live selling on YouTube and I'm kind of thinking about hour for hour, minute for minute. How much time is it taking me to sell one thing, showing it live? Now, granted, you don't have to photograph it. You don't have to write the description, get the listing up, drafts, etc. And it sells but it sells for maybe lower because it's like more of like an auction style versus me taking the time to do the listing, type it up, whatever else, which is a better use of my time. And I'm not there yet to be able to answer that question.
So you're trying live selling on YouTube?
Yes.
On your channel or on others or?
On other channels.
Okay.
Yes. So, and I've only done one sale and I'm signed up for 2 more coming up. And the way I'm using it is for low value items because I also sell, I help a charity. So the people donate things to sell and then I take my profit and then the rest, their cut of the profits goes back to the charity. I get kind of like a smattering of everything, low value, high value, whatever. So that's like a good way to move things along that are lower value, that aren't worth the time listing, but it is taking my time to be on the live and selling them. And
you're on somebody else's channel who's already got a following.
Who has a following, right?
You get a big enough audience.
Yeah, but maybe at any given time, there's like 50 people in the sale. So it's not something where like on Whatnot or Instagram, you'd have maybe several hundred, and so
on what?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. That takes right, and that's not coincidental. People who have that kind of following have grown it and developed it and whatever else. Yeah. So, I mean, and then there's a fun factor. It's fun. You're hanging out with friends, but like, I'm not in this business for fun. I'm here to like make money. You
can have a little fun. Not too much.
Yeah, right. A little bit. Speaking of fun, Porcelain Princess is here saying hi to both of us. How are you? Porcelain Princess, you and I say hi like every single time that we see each other, but I don't think I know your first name. And if you want to jump on live, I put the little
also
link.
Known as TG.
Yeah. So TG, I hear people refer to you as TG too. And I think, did you used to have a different name, Porcelain Princess? I don't know. I'm sure that she'll say who it is in a minute, but everyone always like knows people. Oh, Scarlett. That's right. I have heard people say your name. Scarlett, you're welcome to join us if you want to come on live with us. We're chatting. Our conversation tonight has gotten a little bit psychological, a little bit philosophical.
Oh, if you let me talk for more than 5 minutes, I always get psychological.
Same. I was a psych major when I went into college, and then I moved away from that major, but then my career was in sales and I was selling print media and radio media. And what got me excited about sales
hard work.
Was it was very hard work and I genuinely loved it, but I love the psychology behind the sale. Like if I'm working with an advertiser, what motivated the consumer to purchase their products? So how do you make a good advertisement compelling to take the psychological action?
1 a.m. So,
oh my gosh,
where are you, Scarlett? Like the UK or somewhere in Europe?
Yeah, right. Because it's almost 8 o'clock here.
5 hours, sometimes 5 hours and sometimes 6 hours difference with UK. Depending on
Scarlett, tell us where you are.
And here comes my hero.
Oh, What does he have for you? Oh, coffee.
Coffee.
Is it too late for coffee?
Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
I actually just made a cup before I came on. I was out with my friends this afternoon, and I was like, I just need a cup of strong coffee because I hadn't had one in a while.
Sometimes I sleep great when I've had coffee, and other times I don't have coffee and I don't sleep great. So
Yeah,
I'm just gonna enjoy myself. UK, yeah. Scarlett is in the UK. Have some coffee, Scarlett. Hang out.
Yeah, hang out with us. It's never too early or too late.
So the live selling is interesting to me, but has never interested me. And I went through the whole first Whatnot wave. We're in a second Whatnot wave right now because Whatnot spent a crap ton of money and signed contracts, sponsorship contracts with, well, 3 that I know of, big YouTubers that resell. Becky Parks is one, Lori Tate is one. And they're, back doing Whatnot shows again, and they had quit, and they're promoting Whatnot on their YouTube channels. So Whatnot is trying to get back. It was a huge deal, and then it just gradually died down and was less huge. But
so tell me more about that, because what do you mean when you say that they have contracts? So Whatnot is actually paying these YouTubers above and beyond
videos mentioning Whatnot. Yep. And to commit to doing so many Whatnot shows over whatever period.
Interesting.
Aren't we gorgeous tonight? We are gorgeous tonight.
Oh, Scarlett, you're so sweet.
Yeah, I air dried my hair and everything.
So did I. Oh my gosh. Can I tell a really funny story real quick about my hair blow drying experience today? I'm sorry, I don't mean to divert, but you guys will get a chuckle with me. So I went to you guys know I'm like addicted to Zumba. I love my Zumba dance class. It keeps me fit, keeps me healthy. So I went to Zumba.
You teach
What's that?
it, right? You teach
I do,
it.
yeah. But I teach it, but I also take the class. Like I'm more of a student. I teach just 1 day a week. But anyway, I went to class today, and then after class, I was showering at the gym. And I'm there, and I turn the corner from the shower. So I'm wearing a towel, and I have my hair up and wet, whatever. And I turn the corner, and there's a woman on her cell phone in the women's locker room on FaceTime with a man, like her husband or boyfriend or something. And she's chatting with him live on the phone. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Like first I had to process what the heck was happening. And then I look over and I'm like, okay, I'm an employee here. I need to say something. I can't just be okay with this. So I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, I'm so sorry, but you can't be on your phone in the locker room.
On video.
Right. Well, I didn't even say that. It was just on your phone.
On your phone.
And she's like, okay. And I'm like, you need to hang up your phone. And she's like, okay. And then she proceeds to continue talking with this guy on the phone. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm so sorry. You can't be, especially on a video call in the women's locker room. And I said, you need to hang up. And then she's like, she's just staring at me. I said, I'm naked. I'm here in my towel. And you're on the phone with this guy. And she was not hanging up the phone. And I'm thinking it was just, so now I'm shaking with kind of anxiety a little bit about you're
probably pretty cold too.
Well, I'm not, yes. Yeah. I'm naked. I was in my towel, and I'm not non-confrontational. Obviously I don't mind saying something, but it's awkward, right? To go there. And so then she's shows me that she's finally hanging up the phone, and she's like, well, you don't have to ask that way. And I'm like, well, I tried asking nicely at the beginning. And then the whole thing did get kind of confrontational because she was not pleased with how I had asked. And I said, well, it's on the rules. And she says, well, where's the rules? I said, it says that there's all these stickies all over the whole place. Do not go on a cell phone. Do not be on a cell phone. And I said, it's also common courtesy to not be on a video chat with a man with and her phone it wasn't even like she was being discreet.
She wasn't just showing her boobies. She was showing her boobies.
Is it me that I'm finding a problem with this? So I was shaking. And then I finally was okay, I just have to blow dry my hair, and I'm going to leave the blow dryer on really loud and really long so I can stop actually shaking. So this is my my rage hair from my crazy experience.
It's very fluffy.
Yes. Yeah. Could imagine you shaking that, but oh my gosh. Yes, I do shake it with reckless abandon, and I don't care what anybody says about it. But anyway,
and that's the thing. Cell phones are so ubiquitous now that people have totally lost any idea of, is
Yes.
this a good place to do this?
Right. And it's an extension of her, and it was her family, and she had no problem with it, but it, you're right. It was, yeah.
It just doesn't even occur to people. And when you point it out, they're like, you're speaking
What?
Swedish.
Yeah.
What?
Why would you have a problem with this?
Why would I have
Yeah.
to hang up? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Whatnot, I've only thought about doing Whatnot, but I haven't actually, kind of like you, like I'm interested, but I'm not interested in doing it per se.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like, when they take a cut of everything and all of that goes into it, it's still work. You have to like prep the items, get things ready. There's like work on the back end that goes into it. So,
yeah. And that was the initial thing when a lot of resellers a year ago were, it was like there were two camps. You loved Whatnot or you didn't.
Right.
And the people who didn't just got tired of hearing everything, then they turned around. And then of course it got more diluted with Posh Live, right? Have you done that? No.
Yeah. Well, and I only think that Poshmark Lives came as a product of Whatnot. Like, I think
certainly.
Poshmark did that because they needed to be competitive. And
for me, I got the app and I watched a couple friends' shows for a few minutes. And then I started hearing many of my online friends. Yes, I do have it 1,000K now. That happened yesterday.
Oh, yay! No way! Yesterday?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Oh, how cool! Oh,
I didn't really say anything because I figured then I'd lose a subscriber and then I'd be at $9.99 or something. I've just been laying low. But yeah.
I'm so happy for you. Do you need watch hours, or are you there? You have everything you need.
5,000 watch hours. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Oh, cool.
Crazy.
Oh, I'm so excited. Congratulations.
Here's the strange thing about Whatnot. Then I started hearing my friends, oh, I've got to lay off Whatnot because I've been spending way too much money, or I've got a lot of stuff. And I would say, well, are you shopping for yourself? Well, sometimes for myself, and sometimes I'm sourcing. And I'm like, sourcing, you get good cost of goods there? Because if you're getting a good cost of goods, then whoever's selling it to you is not making money. What? I just kept not saying, how does this work? And I finally figured out what the deal is. When I need clothes, well, before I was a reseller, I went to thrift stores 3 times a week. When I needed clothes, I usually needed a specific thing. Oh, when I was working, my black suit is starting to look a little tired. I need to go shop for a new black suit. Or, oh, my loafers that I wear with gray and navy pants are worn out at the heels, so I'd go shop for a pair of those. Or, oh, my pajamas look really ratty. I'd go find some pajamas at Target or Old Navy and buy 3 sets. And I never went shopping for clothes to see what I could find today. Right. And so going to a live Whatnot show, hoping that something would show up in my size and randomly. What are the odds of that?
Yes. Right.
I can't think of anything.
Unless it's a show where they say, I'm selling women's size, whatever, summer, like
how would I ever even been aware of that?
Upon that? Yes.
Unless I was hunting all the
searching for it.
It reminds me when I before I retired, I worked for a city. I was in local government. And we used to get citizen complaints because one of the very busy streets in our city had a tax service that opened up just during tax season. And they always had a guy standing out front dressed like Uncle Sam. And he was waving balloons and waving signs and come on in and do your. And people hated seeing him there. They thought it looked cheap and nasty. Yeah. Which I agree. But because he had a sign, it was speech, not advertising. So
and he was allowed to be there.
Under the First Amendment to stand on the sidewalk and make speech, even if he didn't say anything. If it had not been a person, if it had just been a sign, then they have to follow the sign. But anyway, I just kept thinking, who's driving down this busy road at 45 miles an hour and sees this guy and goes, Millie, we got to get our taxes done.
Right. And happens to need that service.
Right, quick. Let's do our taxes. Who does that happen to?
Yeah.
And similarly for me on Whatnot, what are the odds that I'm going to see something that I need to learn?
Yes. And so I'm so glad that you said that.
People do because they're buying too much stuff.
Well, so I had the same exact thought process. And are you going to
be successful for a reason? Oh, goodbye.
I'm not sure.
Goodbye, Scarlett. Sleep
Yeah,
well.
I think she's leaving. And
QVC
hello,
and
Raquel.
QVC and HSN are successful for a reason.
Well, yeah, and I do think that there's the impulse purchase is, I think, what it boils down to is people who are there, they get sucked up in the frenzy of the auction and
Either impulse or compulse. Not sure.
yes. But I'm so glad that you said this because I did the same thing. And maybe it's because you and I get both like geek out on psychology and that component of things. But I kept trying to think, who is purchasing, like the psychology of the buyer? Who is this marketed for? And I agree with you. And I do think a lot of it was resellers looking for things on auction. Like they would go into the Lululemon ones and be like, I'm going to get whatever I can on Lululemon, but then to resell. And to your point, if it was going to be worth having the resale dollars on it, wouldn't that seller have been selling it at the regular resale rate anyway? And at some point, isn't that saturated? And I guess you're kind of saying that so the numbers have died off a little bit.
Yeah, Whatnot just fell off a cliff almost.
Okay. Because I ask people, I say, do you know what, like regular friends of mine, average Jane, do you know what Whatnot is? Tell me what Whatnot is. And they're like, I've never heard of that before in my life. So they've heard of Poshmark. Right. They've heard of eBay. Even if they're not on it, they've heard of it. They've never even heard of Whatnot. So I'm thinking, who is the buyer? Who is buying on Whatnot? And it's resellers. I think you're right.
Yep. And Whatnot started out as a card and
ephemera and Pokemon and stuff, right?
Pokemon and trading cards of all kinds.
Yeah.
And then Funko Pop and then, all the superhero action figures and everything at Comic-Con, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what it grew and grew and grew into. And I think it works better for those because those are collectors and traders. They're constantly
and they're all in that.
Selling.
Yeah.
They're constantly buying and selling their own stuff and other stuff, right? Because that's how they
for the culture of that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You get 3 of something and then, I can sell 2 of those and get the one I want.
Yeah.
You see, and I'm sorry, but for a used Chico shirt,
no, right.
Even a great Free People cardigan.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me as a buyer. So that's why it doesn't make sense to me as a business person.
Well, would you say that a lot of the things on Whatnot are new? Like they're not even used Chicos. It's new.
Now they are. I did have friends tell me that it shifted over a lot to people selling liquidation.
Right. And that's what it is. It's people having pallets of whatever that they're buying for cheap. They're selling it for cheap as well. And they're making $1 or $2 here and there.
Sell 100 things a day, you can afford to only make $3.
Yeah, it's a volume game, basically. Yeah. They're getting pallets and they're moving the inventory, but then you just become. I used to watch a YouTuber. I didn't watch enough of her content to know her very well. El Duce.
Denali. Yep.
Denali. Okay. Yeah.
Denali. Yep.
Yeah. And I think I jumped into watching her later in her reselling career, but I remember her saying that she had just started. She got like a warehouse or a storage unit or something. And she started selling, and I guess it was liquidation, or she was getting things by pallet. And she says, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I guess it was really early on in that part of her journey, because she says, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this because I'm no longer going out and curating and hand selecting what I'm selling and enjoying that process. I'm now the middleman and I'm just moving widgets. And when it becomes you just moving widgets, you're just a store and you can
be in any business. Yeah, you could be buying carts of air filters or nail polish or whatever.
Yeah. And is the fun there?
I enjoy thrifting and saving and reselling. I enjoy that package of things. Now I've done some thread up boxes. And I've as for sourcing, which is kind of like a pallet, but not as much.
But it's used, and it's like don't you usually buy thread up by like category, like women's or men's or okay.
And I know that feeling that Denali was getting, and she's actually moved away from that whole model now. She's back.
Really?
She's back in either a very small office or back in her house. That just happened recently, and she's back going to the bins.
Do you know why? Because she didn't like it, or
I think that it became a grind.
Yeah.
Carry
Yeah.
the overhead of that big building and
Right.
employees, and you had
Yes.
to have employees and volume to justify it. And the
Right.
grind of it, I think it just was not fun
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. How interesting. So yeah, I forget how I got watching her channel, because she must have been friendly with another person that I watched, because it used to be videos of her in her car. Like she would go through the Starbucks drive and then like sit and talk to us in her car. And I always be like, I hope she shows me what like her
She did. She
setup.
started doing that because when I first started watching her, she was shopping at thrift stores in the bins and selling out of her house. And then she got an office. And then during the pandemic, she moved back home. And then she moved back into that same building, but in a bigger space. And then, year 2, year 3, she got this big warehouse and she went into liquidation.
Okay.
And she didn't have time to do YouTube anymore. Plus, nobody wants to watch liquidation pallets because you don't ever have a chance of finding that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And she couldn't share where she was getting her stuff, because if you've got a good source, you don't want 20,000 other people to know.
Right.
And so she didn't have any content for YouTube. And the last time I watched her, she said she was giving up the warehouse and going back to the bins. So.
And how recently was that?
That was within a month or so.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
interesting.
and then for me, when I watched that happen, I thought, I have no desire to do that. When I get 25 pounds of men's stuff from ThreadUp,
Right.
it's just with the hope I'll get some awesome pieces and
Yeah.
some new brands that I'd never see and learn about. And then, but to be honest, when I'm down to listing the grindy stuff, the Levi's and the dress shirts and the whatever that'll sell for $8 or $9 or $10,
Yeah.
I got to push myself to do that.
Even then, the fun is.
Even then, because the
Yeah.
fun stuff is gone. But
yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, I mean, that to me is like a bad day at the office, which for us, I think is still a great day at the office, but
Yeah.
I think that's why some people have death piles. It's because
my
that's
ThreadUp videos do get the most views on my channel. So
which ones?
the ThreadUp unboxings get the most
Oh,
views.
how fun. Okay. I should try ThreadUp. I heard at one point they put a pause on things, or they got so jammed up that they weren't doing boxes anymore. Did that happen?
There's certain boxes are really hard to get a hold of. They're only available for a day usually.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was always getting the men's boxes, either 25 pounds, or one time I did 50 and one time I did 100. But those there's no men's boxes available right now. Haven't been for 2 weeks.
Oh,
So I don't know if people have caught on.
I wonder why. That's okay. Yeah.
More people are selling men's. Maybe fewer people are sending in. Oh, thank you for subbing. I'm terrible at watching the chat. She's probably gone to bed already, but thank you.
Thank you,
So
Scarlett. That's awesome.
I've been
Now you don't have to worry about dropping below.
So about 3 years ago on Clubhouse, I was encouraging my other friends who were in this reselling room where we were talking about business. I was encouraging them to try men's. They're easier customers. They tend to pay full price more often. There's still low ballers out there, but they tend to just buy the thing if they want it. And I focus on function, not fashion for men. Clothes that hikers like, clothes that boaters like, or fishermen like, or, because guys will spend money on their clothes if it's for their favorite hobby.
Yeah. And they're wearing them hard, right? Like they're not just wearing them behind the desk. They're getting holes in them.
And they don't go out of style. If you find a smart wool base layer from 10 years ago, it's just like the one that they made last week. So,
yeah.
But anyway, I was encouraging people to try men's. I said, just go steal the good stuff out of your husband's closet that he's not wearing. And another reseller said, Heidi, those of us that sell men's don't really appreciate you telling everybody else to do it too.
What? Oh my
and
gosh.
I said, well, there are some resellers that feel that there's enough for everybody. And then there's some that like to keep the secrets for themselves. And she left the room and.
Wow.
But
oh my gosh, really?
I believe in abundance and she believes in scarcity, and
that I agree with that abundance.
To hear her talk, she probably does 10 times the volume I do. So it's not like anybody could hurt her anyway. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I've been so joyfully pleased about with the YouTube community, is that it seems to be a community of sharing and of like, hey, this is working for me. Would you like to try it? And I know some people share that information hoping for like viral videos that's like best kept secret, click here to see I did this in my eBay business and it's been crazy. Yeah, right. All of those like wow face whatevers.
I won't do those. All of my thumbnails are me hiding behind a piece of clothes.
Right. Amen.
That's how you can tell. Bye, Felicia.
Bye,
That's
Felicia.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Lori
that's
Tata
exactly
got
right.
nailed for using Bye, Felicia.
What's that?
Lori Tata got taken to task by a viewer for using the phrase "Bye, Felicia."
Oh, why?
Because she always had one in every episode of her YouTube channel of an item that she finally sold, and she was glad to see the end of "Bye, Felicia."
Yeah.
And she got taken to task for cultural appropriation, that she shouldn't be, as an
Oh.
affluent white woman, she shouldn't be allowed to say "Bye, Felicia."
Okay. Oh, good golly.
I believe in abundance.
I know. So
If
I'm
you
a
wanna-
big,
Yeah.
I'm a huge reader, right? I constantly have my earbuds in. I'm always listening. And when I'm not reading, I'm consuming content on YouTube to try to like better
Raquel
myself
said,
and
yeah.
whatever. I couldn't believe that.
I
Oh, did
remember
you hear that
that,
too?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
I
now,
felt so bad.
yeah, well, I had no idea. And I guess I need to be more mindful too of calling people Karens or things like that. But on the books that I'm listening to lately or reading that are released like in the last 6 months or so, they have like these trigger warning, like labels in the beginning of these books. And I'm like, what is happening? And one of them that I just read was the author is Abby Jimenez, and it's like rom-com type books, right? They're meant to be lighthearted. The author, who's adorable, I absolutely love her. She's like my new favorite author, but she says, I will always end my books with a happy ending because life has too much going on right now. We need more happy endings, right? So like that's just throwing it out there. Like this is not heavy literature. It all
Right.
ends well. But she started saying, she's like, this book has trigger warnings. It's about kidney failure. Like there are some themes of love and loss. And I'm thinking to myself, have we gone so soft as a culture? Like if I have issues about whatever the topic might be, kidney disease is sensitive to me, or miscarriage is sensitive to me, divorce is sensitive to me. If I have these triggers in my life, isn't the onus on me to know what I'm consuming so that I don't get triggered a little bit? But the fact that the book has these trigger warnings, I just was like, are we that worried that we're going to offend somebody as an author that we're putting these disclaimers on there? And I wonder, like, I feel like this whole thing with Lori is similar to that, where it's like, we have to worry about offending, and I'm sure Lori seems such a lovely person. I can't imagine that she had any.
Yes, she felt really bad. At the same time,
Yeah.
she understood it psychologically, but she didn't understand it emotionally, because we appreciate and partake of entertainment.
Yeah.
And unless you're gatekeeping that certain people can't partake of the entertainment, and then it can't become part of the popular culture. If the popular culture has to be subdivided into different categories,
Right.
then where does an
Where
old
do you,
Midwestern
how do you
white
live
man-
life? Yeah.
There's no club for me. But your point about, and I'll just, anybody who knows me for more than 5 days knows I tend toward being a liberal person. And liberal used to mean generous, and conservative used to mean cautious. And those two things, if you read Jane Austen novels, that when the guy who gifted someone a piano, he was a liberal man because he made a gift of a piano. And so neither one of them was conservative and liberal neither one of them were bad things. They were just states of, describing someone's approach. And so I tend to, be more, I'm less authoritarian in my thinking, and jumping to, this and that, black and white conclusions. But I agree with you about that tendency to warn everybody about everything, because we're talking about life here, and you cannot insulate people from life. And if you flip through a few pages or read the blurb on the back of a book and you see something that you don't think you'd enjoy, you put it down. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
The movie has too many explosions in the first 10 minutes. I'm thinking, Kurt, do we really have to watch explosions for 90 minutes?
This isn't my thing. I'm going to move on.
Shouldn't the explosions be like 10 minutes before the end? But
Right. But if it's not for you, you can just say, this isn't my cup of tea and move on.
because there's so much to consume of any kind of
Yeah.
content, audible, video, written word, there's so much there for anyone.
Yeah. You'll find something else.
Yeah. I
But
think
I
that
wonder, it's funny that the onus is not on the consumer any longer, that the onus of this warning is on the content provider. And it made me sad to think about, here's an author this is her life work, is entertaining people by putting a pen to
romance and
paper.
happy endings. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I'm like,
If there's any bit of
I just-
life in there, yeah.
yeah, and trying to make it real and trying to have real scenarios and real characters and people who are
protect your
relatable.
emotions. Yeah.
Right. And it broke my heart a little bit for her and for anybody who, and I don't know if it's because we're such a litigious society before, where everybody feels that they, that they can sue somebody, or my rights have been infringed upon, or whatever it is. But I couldn't help but read that trigger warning and feel sad for us as a
Were you
collective.
triggered by it?
I was triggered by the trigger warning. Yes, you know what? You're right, but not in that kind of way. I was like, oh, for crying out loud.
You were upset with it though. That's what it is. That's so meta.
That's so funny. I was triggered by the trigger warning.
I'm going to start telling people that. So just so everybody knows, trigger warnings really trigger
me. Yeah, and I was,
oh my Lord.
I was dumbfounded by it. And there was one that was for a book that was the other book that I'd been reading. I'm only a few pages in, but I do know that this book is meant to have some, there's battle scenes and there is a lot of action, and I can see where that would be. But I mean, you're reading an action fantasy novel. Like, that's what it's supposed to be.
That's what you're going to find there.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, when I heard it for the rom-com, I was like, oh, come on now. This is my romance novel. Oh, good golly. Raquel, do you think we're crazy or what? Yeah, I there's so much in the content world, and it makes me think about, why am I here on YouTube? And I love the fellowship and the camaraderie and feeling like I'm not isolated, even though I have my business for myself. But I do also think about the fact that I'm putting my personal thoughts and my personal information out there. And I would never, in life, I never want to offend anybody or bother them or hurt them or make them uncomfortable in any sort of way. And I worry, like, do I have that responsibility? Do I bear that burden of making sure that I don't want to censor myself? I don't want to censor my content. I don't want to censor my channel. But thinking about someone as lovely as Lori, who, has a great message, or like we were saying earlier, people who tell their story on Instagram or wherever, and if it makes anyone else feel less than or somehow whatever, I don't know. That's not what I'm here for. So I hope I don't have to let that play a part in my background psychology of why I'm on YouTube,
Well, from what I've observed of you, I think you're okay.
For now. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting out there, isn't it?
I always have lots of caveats and disclaimers when I talk on my channel. So I'll say, okay, this is what you should do. And then I'll say, well, sorry to be so bossy.
Yeah. We all just run our own race and do what feels right. And yeah, I agree with you. Well, I appreciate everything that you're saying too about Whatnot, because I've had some of those same thoughts behind the scenes in my own head, and actually hearing somebody else share some of those same experiences, I think is valuable. And I've been a little bit removed from it. I've been a little bit removed from Instagram. Like you had shared some of that too. And I feel like I need to worry less.
What a full life you can have without any social media at all.
Isn't it though? I'm reading another book about somebody who she is actually a psychotherapist, and she, for a myriad of reasons, had no TV, no social media, like very little access to that. And she was trying to treat her patients, and they kept recalling stories from, pop culture and media and stuff. And she had no context for which to pull from. And it was frustrating for her. But she says, you can survive, like you can live life without having this constant connection to all of this, and you'll be just fine too. So, all things in moderation for what feels healthy. But I think some of those live selling opportunities like Poshmark Lives and Whatnot Lives I wonder if they would put me in a funky like headspace with feeling like you need to be like that QVC live selling kind of personality.
Well, first of all, you talked about, putting you in a funny headspace. Because for me, the funny headspace would be live. And I would have thought prior to going live on YouTube and being perfectly content to chat with 2 or 4 or 14 people for an hour and a half. I thought that would bother me. I thought I would be like, wow, 14 people, what am I doing? No, apparently I can just talk, even if it's just me and Raquel, So you do that. That's what you do. You go on live and talk with, you don't always have a huge audience. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, usually it is just me and whoever's this little handful of people, whoever happens to be around.
And so
Yeah.
the only additional discouragement to that in Whatnot would be you'd have a small audience and then not make sales.
And not make sales? You mean like not have the
Right.
Oh,
You'd have a small audience, and
yes.
those 10 or 12 or 20 people wouldn't
Yes.
buy anything or would
Yeah.
buy one thing.
Yeah.
And then at the end of your hour or half hour, you might say, well, why did I do that?
Thanks, y'all. This was well.
where the way you're doing it on YouTube, using someone whose channel does have an audience built for that's sufficient that you feel that you could get some value out of doing it. Because otherwise you have to put in so much work, not just on Whatnot, but on other channels to drive people to Whatnot, because you can't just build an audience on Whatnot very easily. You have to build it somewhere else and drive them over there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's a good point.
That just sounds icky to me.
Yeah. I think that you really touched on it there, because it does, that platform somehow seems so much more like highly produced, or so much more like the big time.
Maybe you should watch a few more people, because some people look like they're doing it in their room closet and they didn't even bother to lint roll or hang anything up. I mean, so maybe you've just stumbled across the highest quality channels, because it runs the gamut.
Yeah, maybe I don't think I've really seen maybe hardly any. So maybe it's just like in my head of what I think it is. So with Whatnot, if you're like, let's say I was to go on Whatnot, I have no presence on Whatnot at all. I have 0 following, 0 people, whatever. If I turned on my light and said, I'm going live with an auction, I'm selling these things, this is my category for the day, whatever I label my show as, would people stumble into my auction and hang out? Or is it really like people come and seek out one particular seller? Like, do people hang out and loiter on Whatnot and poke in and out?
People room surf.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got about 12, 15 seconds for them to decide they like you and stay a little longer.
Right.
And then you got another minute and they see something that this kind of stuff, she might have something I want.
Okay.
And they'll know it to say, or no, Chicos, Jesus. And they run out of the room, or where's all the Chicos? I don't want free people, but you have no control over any of that room surfing.
Yeah.
And there are people that will come in and out of your room. You'll see the numbers just go boom, 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 boom. Hey, I'm a reseller.
Shagan. Hey.
Oh, who's that?
It's Shagan. Do you guys not know each other?
No, I don't believe so.
So Shagan.
Do I?
Shagan.
Maybe I do.
Yeah. So Shagan's from Chicago. He hangs around our neck of the woods in this little segment of YouTube. And Shagan, I'm happy to introduce Heidi to you. She also hangs around our side of the reseller verse. I'm surprised you guys haven't met each other before. You have some friends in common. I know you guys both know Glamma. Yeah, you both know Veronica, I think. Heidi, do you know George from the UK? George,
just
the
from
reseller?
watching the two of you chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Shagan knows George. And Shagan, if you want to come live, you're welcome to hang out. Shagan does live flea market videos on the weekends mostly, right? Which is cool to watch. And Raquel, do you know Shagan as well? I'm a reseller. I don't know if you guys are acquainted. Get to know each other. Oh, Raquel, you're so sweet. You ladies are great. You're both naturals. Wow, I feel like I'm in good company.
You didn't say natural at what, though? That's kind of a broad term. That's an easy compliment.
Yeah, Shagan, one of the cool things I think that I appreciate you shared it once was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you keep your items warehoused through one of the fulfillment places, like where you list it and then you ship it off to them, and then when it's sold, they fulfill the sale delivery? Am I remembering that right? Because I feel like that is such a hack for people who have limited space, or like you traveling outside the country, or,
Yeah, no,
or
for some reason why I can't remember the name of the one I'm most familiar with.
yeah. Okay. Very nice to meet you. Oh, see, look at this little community connecting. Shagan asked, what do you sell? And you sell pretty much everything, right, Heidi?
I'll sell anything, but mostly clothes.
Mostly clothes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
I
It's
won't
called
sell big things. I won't sell big things. Pay attention.
I try not.
Yeah, that's who it is. eBliss.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So eBliss, is that like a huge hack for you? Because I feel like I need to consider eBliss.
I just want to know, what does it cost?
Oh, I think it's like $1 an item, or isn't it like some kind of? I think it's a per item thing, right, Shagan?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not much.
Well, yeah, especially like if you factor it into the cost of your item, like it's so nice to then not have your things in your
it basically just adds $1 to your cost of goods, right?
Mm-hmm. And then like you don't have the overhead. You don't have to worry about a storage unit of like housing it, going to pick it and pull it or whatever. I think the negative is if you had to measure something or like check it somehow, you don't have it in your, space. But
you just ignore those questions.
I was just gonna say it's a small, deterrent compared to the luxury of what it offers. Oh, $5 per item. Okay.
Yeah. And at my cost, if I was a bins sourcer and I could find better stuff, that might be interesting, but I'm not willing to give up the $5. I'll do the work for that.
Yeah.
And
plus
I have
50 cents storage per item each month. So if you ended up, yeah.
So $5 to handle it for you and 50 cents to store it for you.
Right. Yeah, that's different than my $1.
It's fair because that's a lot of work.
And a lot of actual like real estate, to store people's things for sure. Yeah. I wonder how that would compare to paying like $100 a month for storage. I mean, I guess it depends how many items you have going and stuff like that. And if you want to travel, like if you are going to go someplace, like it frees you up to say, now I can go anywhere because if I sell something, I just click the fulfillment button and boom shakalaka.
Yeah. It's worth it if you've got the right profit model set up. Yeah. And I don't find good enough stuff.
Refresh my memory. Heidi, where are you geographically? I know you've told me before.
I'm in West Michigan.
And how are the prices up there? Like, is it crazy town?
Well, at the thrift store I went to today, short sleeves are $2.99 and long sleeves are $3.99 and pants are $4.99. But at Goodwill, I only go on senior day or coupon day because their tops are now $6.99 and pants are $7.99, and they mark up Columbia and stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I love it when I find really awesome stuff. The best stuff I find, they don't know anything about, so they don't mark it up. But I still only shop at Goodwill on a day when I get either 20 or 30% off. So
yeah.
And I do have two Goodwill bins, one that's about 10 minutes away and one that's half an hour away. But I feel like, and I've shopped at other bins in other parts of the country. I feel like my bins mostly are rejects, stuff they didn't even want to put in the store. Do you know what I mean?
So I have a bins by me that almost everything that's there is raw delivery. Like it hasn't even been in Goodwill yet. And you can tell because it comes in people's shopping bags, garbage bags, and you rip it open. Yeah. It's not been sorted. There's no price tags on it, whatever. And but so that one it's really anxiety inducing for me, because what people do is they go in, they keep everybody, they actually kick you out. They send you outside the building.
For the rotation. Yeah.
Yes. And then they bring you back in. And then everyone, once they let you go, they swarm. You put all these bags in your cart and then you sort. So like you're reversing it. So like you take things that are in your cart that you don't want and put them back in the bin.
Right.
And then you can go through, it's almost like licking your donut. Like everyone goes in and is like, calls dibs. They put it in their cart. And then they're like, oh, this is junk. I don't want it. And it's aggressive. It's very aggressive.
How
Versus
long between rotations though? I mean, like after they've done all that stupid nonsense, can you then go, because I never go to the bins that are fresh out. I wait until they've stirred it all up and taken the weird stuff. I don't know. Because I always find, if I'm going to find anything, I find it after other people have looked at every outlet I've ever been to. So I never do the big rush. And maybe I'm missing all the fabulous. I don't know. But I'm still finding things that other people are. I found a Carhartt jacket in a bin that everybody had been through.
And that's because you have an eye too. You know what to look for. You know quality. You know brands.
Ours is mostly moms looking for clothes, people looking to send clothes back home to another country.
Right.
And I haven't figured out what they're looking for. The t-shirt bros, the ones who, it's hysterical how some of them, I love to listen to them talk because most of the time they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
Right. They know one
vintage.
thing where they think
I know vintage because I was alive then. I mean, I see brands and I think, oh, my mom used to wear that brand, or my dad used to wear that brand, or I used to wear that brand. I had 2 Gunny Sacks dresses for 2 weddings that I was in. Did I keep them? No.
No, because it wasn't a thing then. Now you kick yourself for it.
Sure, no one as soon as I mean, anybody would know one as soon as they saw it. But I don't play the anxiety game at the bins because I just go somewhere else and shop.
So this one, it does feel very aggressive. And then the first time I went, I didn't know that was the thing. So I was prepared to do the normal bins thing where you pick through. And I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. But people were like running. I think you're not allowed to run. So they were like aggressively like speed walking. But it was crazy. It was literal craziness. And actually, if you ever watch, there's a YouTuber, her name is Rebecca Allison, if you've heard of her. Yep. She lives, I think, in Maryland, and that's the bins that she shops at. And I think she's crazy for going there because it makes me a little crazy. But there's a couple of things. If you follow somebody then, so like they're discarding things, you can get their leftovers. And if, like you said, if it's a mom looking for kids' clothes and they don't want the Carhartt, you can then do well. But usually it's professional resellers, and then you're all fighting for the same stuff. So there's that.
I would say when I go to the bins, it's probably half resellers, but probably half of that would source the same things I do. So there's probably 100 bins in my outlet, and they rotate 6 out at a time, and so I can never finish a group of 6 bins before they take them away.
But you're still finding things, and that's
I am. It's just physically harder for me. I have to work a lot more hours to find fewer stuff. It's cheap, 71 cents, $1.15 an item, but I have to work a lot harder to find enough.
Right, so, and the physicality of it, of heaving under clothes, and
it's exhausting.
Yeah,
it's the same reason I don't source dresses. The hangers are too high.
You're so funny. I love selling dresses. I'll have like a long maxi dress, and it's so long, and then like my photography, I have to like move things out of the way so I can get the whole thing. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? But then they sell for enough, and I'm like, oh, this was worth the time and energy. You have one? Oh, look at this pattern. Is this new from your recent haul? Oh my, hold it up to the camera. Look how gorgeous. Oh, I like her. Is it a skirt or a dress?
It's a skirt. It's knit. Yeah. And it's vintage.
Vintage, yeah. Oh, what's the brand?
It has pockets, and it's knit.
And it looks like it's pleated at the top, right?
It's pleated, yep. And so, isn't that awesome for a maxi skirt? But this might be a help or a hindrance. I'm not sure. I have a matching top.
Oh no, I think that's a total help. I think that's an awesome. Oh, look at this.
So,
wow.
I don't know. I know I could sell the skirt. I'm not sure I can sell the dress, the 2 pieces.
So I don't know if this is worth it for you. Maybe list it as a set and then do a second listing of just the skirt. And see which one list them for the same price or something and see which one you get more action on. And if you sell the skirt, either try to sell the top on its own or say, guess what?
You can sell either piece. I'm just not sure
together.
That together is a look that somebody's looking for. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think with the right keywords, if you're like 70s mod, like if you, yeah, I do. Yeah, that's cool.
Because the skirt itself could be styled a lot of ways.
Yes.
I mean, you could wear it with a sports bra. You
Yeah,
could wear it with a silk blouse.
Yeah.
You could put a big wide gold chain belt around it and wear it out for the evening to the symphony. You know what I mean? But the whole thing, I don't know.
Well,
it's grandma on a cruise. That's all it is.
In theory, you'd have a buyer who can have that forward thinking of like, oh, I'll get the set, but I could also just wear the skirt on its own. But people are very visual. I used to work in an apartment complex, and people would come in. It was like a townhome complex, and people would come in and be like, well, I don't like that wall is painted blue. And I'd be like, oh, that's like an accent wall. This is just the model. This is just the model.
Yeah.
I can't live here. I'm like, it's just a blue wall. You're going to be okay. They could not literally visualize themselves. I'm like, you can paint it white, but
I tried to sell real estate for a year, and people would say, oh, the wallpaper. And I'm like, it's wallpaper.
It can come down.
What you're buying is the location of this property
and the bones,
the street that it's on, the school district that it's in, how many toilets it has, and maybe is the kitchen usable.
Right.
Everything else you can change.
Can be changed. Yeah. Especially things like wallpaper and paint colors and those things that are like, $100 of paint or whatever.
$1,000, you can have new carpet in one or two rooms. Yeah. But people don't. Or some people only want to see a place that's furnished. And other people only want to see a place that's empty.
Empty. Yeah.
It's like people have no imagination, but somebody's going to imagine their way into that, I hope.
I love that. Raquel said that her bins closed during COVID. I feel like most bins closed during COVID, but do you mean permanently, Raquel? Because that would suck, like if it closed and then didn't reopen.
Some of them took a long time. I know my friend Lori, she's still waiting for the Boston bins to reopen. They closed during COVID.
And they haven't reopened yet, right? Yeah. So I've mentioned it several times, but the bins by me, and I mean like 15 minutes from my house. Like I used to stop in there when my kids were at school and I, had some time to kill. It closed. And now this was after COVID. It merged. So it was, like a lot of the bins will have like the regular Goodwill next to it. And then the bins is like on the outlet side on the other side. And it closed. Oh, hey, Jennifer. Hey, Jen, we're talking about the bins in Avondale, Pennsylvania. I know you know where that is, or it used to be a bins in Avondale. And it closed down. They just put a wall up and they made it all into just a regular Goodwill, right?
I remember you telling that story. You took somebody there and you went,
there's a wall here where there used to be a door. It was like literally could not wrap my brain around like what was happening. And they did that to a second location in Pennsylvania. So it happened to me literally twice with the same person. I was like, don't worry, I'll take you to the one in Lancaster. We'll be fine.
Where's stuff going?
So this is what they did. And this is what I'm wondering about your friend in Boston. They restructured, they corporately restructured how they're approaching bins. And they're having them in these big warehouses. So they've chosen much bigger footprints, like actual square footage wise of where they're going to have them. And in theory, they're picking a geographic location that's more central so that people can then drive there. But they're having fewer of them, but they're making them physically larger, which I'm like, well, this sucks. And I actually told the lady who was a manager there, I said, listen, I used to have a bins by my house and I used to go there and I would spend hundreds of dollars very regularly because it was there and it was convenient. I said, now I'm going to spend the same amount of money because I'm only filling one cart, right? But I'm doing it once every quarter instead of once every few weeks. This can't be financially a better move. She's like, this is what they decided to do. So I don't know. There's one in Newcastle. Oh, so Jennifer, we were just talking about the Newcastle. Heidi, the one in Newcastle, Delaware, which is what Jennifer's talking about. That's the one. Jennifer, have you ever been to that one? That's the one where they bring a lot. I've only been there 3 times, I think, and all 3 times they have raw donation. So people are just coming in there like elbowing each other out of the way to fill their cart with it's kind of fun. It's like mystery bags. You just literally don't know what you're gonna get. It could be bags full of Lululemon, or it could be bags full of infant clothes. Yeah, don't go, Jennifer. I know you don't sell that kind of stuff. You're more jewelry and stuff, but it's anxiety inducing, at least for me, and I can't. So, but it is now, that's geographically, that's the closest one to where I am. And it's heartbreaking that they're so aggressive there.
So you were close to both Pennsylvania. I know New England is very smooshed together and things are close, but where in Pennsylvania is close to Delaware?
So I'm southeast. I'm on the border. My house is 4/10.
Southeast. Okay.
Yeah, my house is 4/10 of a mile from the Delaware border.
And then where's Lancaster? Isn't that in the west?
So Lancaster is in Pennsylvania, and it is west of me by about 40 minutes or so.
Oh,
and actually,
I thought it was in western Pennsylvania. No,
it's not that far out, and it's actually close to the Delaware border as well. Just not as close. And Jennifer,
how far am I from Pittsburgh?
Yeah, you're.
I know that. I mean, I know things are close together there, and you can cross state borders very quickly.
We are very squished together. There's a spot actually near where I live where I can go from Delaware to Maryland to Pennsylvania. You just drive across, you go bloop, bloop, and then bloop, bloop, and the road. The only way you know is that the pavement has shifted because it's different, like paving companies,
Different city did it, yeah.
Jennifer says she tried going during COVID and she had her kid with her and they wouldn't let her in. Really? Because it's
too dangerous for children.
Yeah, but we'll let everybody else come. I'm
6.5 hours from Pittsburgh. So
how many?
6.5 from Pittsburgh.
Oh, from Pittsburgh. Okay.
But from Philly. Oh, come on.
How far are you from New England? Like from Boston or Connecticut? No way, a Value Village just opened up on Kirkwood Highway? Wait, it opened today? I hear people talk about Value Village all the time. Jennifer, you want to meet up?
Value Village is so strange to me because people give them stuff, but they're a for-profit company. People drop off donations and then they sell them for profit. It's a for-profit company.
Yeah, how is that allowed? That's
well, if you tell people 2 stories tall. If you tell people that, if you're not saying that they do apparently make charitable donations, but so does Exxon Mobil, but they're not a charity.
That's interesting.
Angry Otter.
Hey, Michael.
So, to answer your question, I'm 11 hours from Philadelphia.
From Philly. So we're not going to be meeting up anytime soon in person.
Well, that's a day's drive.
Only. You're welcome here anytime. With an elevator. Oh, it's so nice. You've been, Jennifer? Wait, it was just open today, you said. Oh, I'm so jelly. So hold on. Kirkwood Highway, is it near the Goodwill on Kirkwood? Because you know what? They need some competition to bring their prices down. They really do. Oh, it's 2 stories tall. Oh my gosh.
From what I've heard about Value Village prices, I don't know if there'll be much competition. But
have you been to a Value Village, Heidi?
No, but I watch a lot of people who shop at them.
Yeah.
And Savers is the same company in different parts of the country. Savers and Value Village are the same.
I've heard of Savers. I didn't realize it was the same.
Yeah, they're all for profit, but some of them are. Hi. Oh, thank you. He's
Kirk.
Hi.
Do you need me for anything?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm busy, so.
I'm not working or anything, but.
Okay. Not a problem.
Goodwill, Salvation Army are also for profit. It's a good gig. I think all of this, and any place people can, any company that can source their inventory for legit free, resell it, I would say it's a good gig. You haven't been to that one.
Well, and that's why I like reselling. I've been in other kinds of retail, both worked for people and owned businesses. And the profit margins in reselling are the best in retail.
Yeah. Well, especially when it's free inventory to start, right?
Right, but I mean for us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you can get things for $5 and sell them for $25, there's not a lot of. There aren't a lot of niches that are that profitable.
Yeah. And especially when you can find these gems, like, I mean, you can stumble upon something that hundreds of dollars, they're not all like that. But what kills me about that, Heidi, is competing against goodwill.com. Like when I hear that they go through everything and they take the best things for them to then sell for a lot, like they are a reseller themselves on multiple levels. So obviously they're reselling to the public, but then they're taking these high-end things and then like super selling them. It takes away that element of we're here for the people, all that. I don't know. Jennifer, it's funny. I was at
Don't forget. Don't be discouraged, because I found these at Goodwill.
Goodwill. Yeah. And that's about having an eye and knowing your craft and knowing
$1,500 pants.
Yeah.
And Goodwill didn't know.
Yeah. And that's about knowledge, right? And that's about having,
And I'm always going to be smarter than they are. Always.
I was just going to say, so this is the new game. The new game is like, there was a game show that was like beat it's not Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? It was like,
oh, I loved that show.
Yeah, I know. But basically it's like, okay, we have
about myself.
It's the opposite for me. I'm like, damn it. I guess I got to go back to school. Right?
Raquel, no, I don't have out of the closet.
What is that, Raquel? Educate us.
Is that consignment or buy, sell, trade kind of place? All I have are Salvation Army and Goodwill, and then local chains like Hope's Outlet, which has 12 stores, and the Muskegon Rescue Mission, which has 4 stores, things like that. But I don't have Savers, don't have Value Village, I don't even have very many the buy, sell, trade stores. Don't have what's the one for career wear? Anyway, we have Plato's. We have Plato's everywhere, and we have one Uptown Cheapskate. But Close Mentor. Don't have one of those.
Oh yeah.
We're there for the people. Give them little playing jobs and teach them how to fill out a resume. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that breaks my heart, because like that's what you want to see is like a store that says we're here for the people and that they're actually doing it, not just some kind of like check that box. We said this is what we do. And I will say at Salvation Army, there was one that used to be near me in Pennsylvania and it closed, but the people I talked to there were like, one of them was a recovering, she was a recovering drug addict. No, I think she was a recovering alcoholic and her boyfriend was a recovering drug addict. And hearing her story about how she like turned her life around, and she was like, I have Salvation Army to thank for it. And they gave me a job. They took a chance on me when no one else would. And like that's what it's about. She was so lovely. I was like, I'm so glad. Like it was just
Salvation Army in my area is very well respected as a charity. It uses its stores to fund some of it, but it also gets donations. But it uses the stores to fund the programs. But it operates treatment programs for addiction, and both inpatient and outpatient. It operates shelters, both temporary and long-term. It provides people with emergency funds, cash, and just really, when you don't know who to turn to and you go to Salvation Army, they'll feed you and find you a place to sleep.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. You know what I saw today I wasn't even on Facebook. What was I went on Facebook for something. Anyway, I literally almost close my eyes when I go on Facebook because I don't want to see something that I don't want to see. Anyway, there was a beautiful thing on there. I'm glad I did see it. It was this big wall with receipts stapled to the wall. And it was a restaurant, like it was like fast foodish kind of thing. And all these receipts were people who had gone in and purchased meals for other people, random people. And then they stapled the receipts to the wall. And the placard said, if you are food insecure, if you don't have a meal, come in here at any time. Take one of these receipts for a meal that you want. They were specific things. This is a 6 order of wings. This is this. Bring it to the register. I was like, every restaurant, every place should have these, where anybody who's food insecure can just walk in and say, can I have a home cooked, warm cooked meal? And just no questions asked. Don't be embarrassed. They just bring it to I was like, why isn't there one? Yeah. It was so nice to see. hold on. We gotta scoochie up in the chat for a second. I had a question from Jennifer. Have you been to Prime Thrift? Tell me what is Prime Thrift and tell me what I need to know about that one. And add the okay, that was Raquel's question. Thrift in Berkeley and Oakland. Oh, so that one's California specific, the one out of the closet?
Oh, the Prime, I think, is in Berkeley.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
No, that's out of the closet. Out of the closet is in Berkeley and Oakland.
Oh, she said they used to have a Savers in Berkeley and it was closed. Now that she has to drive 30 minutes. So Savers, is that a West Coast thing, Savers? Because I don't.
Well, I don't know because, like I said, my friend Lori in Boston shops at Savers. I think it's I don't know how they decide if they're going to call it Value Village or. I think like in Minnesota, we don't have any in Michigan, but I think in Minnesota it's Value Village.
Okay, and it's just the same, different name, same company. Who had an auction last night, Jennifer? Did I miss one?
And does I'll have to drive 30 minutes to any thrift store? That's
that would drive me. I know that would drive me bonkers.
Like I said before, I've counted and I have over 60 within 30 minutes of me.
60?
60.
Oh my gosh. Good, but good for you though, because that's like, I mean, that means that you have access to good stuff and that you are
I have access to a lot of stuff.
Whether or not it's good. Jennifer, yes, I've been to the Salvation Army in Wilmington. So I donate blood by the blood bank that's up there. And it is like my little, when I go there, I get to go to the Salvation Army in Wilmington because it's not particularly close to me. But I have found 3 things that I can think of that are particularly good finds that were there. And so it has me a little bit hooked. Actually, maybe 4 or 5. I've sold some good things from there. Did you go there? He was in the Salvation Army. He's an alcoholic. Yeah. See, like that's the thing. It's like beautiful, beautiful stories. I'd love to hear because they're actually doing good work. And like all these conversations about the Salvation Army, about the good that they do, I never hear that about Goodwill, you know?
No.
Yeah. It's actually a sister store, Value Village and Savers. Oh.
Jennifer says, Schlaffer asks, there's always an auction on. So there was one last night.
Oh.
But
well, which one was last night? So this group, Heidi, that I was telling you about.
Angry Otter had an auction. One kayak for $30 in 3 hours. See, now we were talking about live sales and the challenges of them, and there is one right there. That would be discouraging.
Right. And you were on for 3 hours. Was it just you, Michael, or were there other people bopping in and out? So Heidi, when I was saying that I did a live sale and it was on someone else's channel, Michael, Jennifer, and like this whole, I call them silos because this whole like silo of the YouTube reseller space, they all kind of look out for each other, but so many of them have these live auctions and they're in and out of each other's auctions and they do auctions with friends. Sometimes people will hold their own auctions on their own channels, but more often than not, what I've seen is it'll be like a round robin of different sellers selling different type of items. And they each do like, you do 4 items, 4 items, 4 items, 4 items, 4 items, and then it'll rotate through. Or like the other day, I had a whole half an hour block to myself. It was all Becky for 30 minutes, and then it shifted to somebody else. And that one went on for 6 hours. I was like, this is such a crazy time investment for the host, which was crazy.
So did you have fun?
I did.
Did you make money?
I did. I didn't. I totaled it up separately. I think it came to $69 in 30 minutes, and they were all low value items. So the fact that I got them moving, they weren't items that were worthy of me spending the time to actually produce listings for them.
Okay.
And I kept all of the profits because it was through YouTube. There was no, right. So there's no commission and some of that. The only lack of profits was all the orders.
So then you send Venmo invoices, or what do you do? PayPal invoices?
PayPal. Yeah. So I prefer Venmo, but all the buyers prefer PayPal. And that was the only expense, was that PayPal took a small cut of the profits. Yeah. Which is a nominal, it's a processing fee, whatever. Yeah. But for that was a success for me for 30 minutes. Now it did take me a lot of setup time because I had to get my items ready and it was my first one. So I was like, I got to make sure I'm on point, but it was. And
what percent of items sold?
Sorry?
What percent of items that you that you
Oh,
offered
you know,
and sold?
I went from A to V, I think was the last item. So how many letters of the alphabet was that? And
22.
and I sold um 5, 6, maybe like 10 things.
So
So
yeah,
yeah, and when I was talking fast, I was like, here we go, because I just wanted to get through. And I still
that's
have
just a
so
shade
many,
over a minute an item. Yeah.
I have so many more things that didn't get listed, but
Half is pretty good.
yeah. Roy's channel every Friday, there was 5 people. Okay, so you were on Roy's channel. Okay. And Michael was on his. Oh my God. Oh, and my ears were burning. Are you serious, Roy? That is so funny. So Horizon Picks and Michael and Angry Otter, Heidi, are who was collaborating together. And I have to brag on Roy because he was one of my he was one of the people who purchased from my auction, which was awesome. And Roy, your package went out in the mail on Friday, I think it was, because I got your payment. Thank you. And that was awesome. You guys made me feel so calm when I felt like I'm doing something new and this is like I'm just trying to figure it out.
So Horizon is Roy.
Yeah. So let's all, Heidi, and by the way, introduce yourself to everybody here, because these are these are new friends of mine who I've just become acquainted with, but they have instantly been so warm and welcoming to me and encouraging me, especially through this live selling process. But I just love how you guys like take care of each other, but I want them to know you. So you tell your story for a second, and I'm going to make everybody blue because I don't often wrench people.
Well, I'm Restyle Secrets is my YouTube name, and I'm really Heidi in real life. And I am a retired local government worker, and I've been reselling 6 years. I started on eBay, and then a few months later, I added Poshmark. And for most of that time, I did like 75% eBay. And Poshmark's gotten better since I bit the bullet and bought a bot. How do you say bot? Anyway, I bought a bot. And Poshmark is now probably 40% of my sales. So I sell mostly clothes, but some random strange. I sold a model sailboat kit a couple days ago for $40, and I've sold random little pieces of kitchenware. I always take a look around the hard goods at the thrift store, and if I see something that looks good, it's not big, I'll ship it. But mostly clothes, probably about 70% women's and 30% men's. That's me.
I love it. And we're very like-minded, it seems like, in our approach to life and selling and all that kind of stuff too, which I appreciate. I appreciate chatting with you because you're level-headed. What's that? Oh, Patrick Murphy. Hi, look at this. It's like the whole funky bunch over here.
How many eyes do you have, Patrick? Right
now? 6. I think, right? And then you're 7. Hey, Patrick, can you wrench everybody who's in the chat, including Heidi, because you know that this is not my forte. So I tried to be on with StreamYard, but I realized I can only wrench people in YouTube. And for some reason on YouTube, I'm not able to access my little tools. Is it not showing the chat? It's not showing the chat for me for some reason. I don't know. So Heidi, do you know Patrick then?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So these are Patrick's people.
He'll probably deny knowing me, but I know Patrick.
How do you know Glamma and Patrick and some of those people?
I have no idea.
Just from hanging out?
I just discovered them, YouTube says, hey, you should watch this. And if they're not going,
they're not making those stupid thumbnails.
I won't click on thumbnails that are just trying to provoke me. And
trigger.
I discovered them, and both Dana and Veronica do lives now and then, and I enjoy those. And then watch Veronica's videos and Dana's, and Patrick loves to be there live and do his. Oh, I was going to call them impersonations, but that sort of sounds like illegal activity. Impressions. He does, all the great accents and stuff. So the listing challenges, and I never actually was up to the challenge. I just hung out and said, "Yeah, I'll do that," and then never did it. So
that's how I met Glamma. They were having Veronica and Glamma were doing one of their. It was like a week-long listing challenge, bopping back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had been watching
the first day, and then the second day I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll just watch." So Angry's name is what again?
Michael.
Michael. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Running for Congress and started reselling as a distraction. Wow. I would need a lot of my husband was for many years when I was working in local government, I was a city clerk. And my husband was always trying to get me to be county clerk, and that's an elected position. Most city clerks are appointed, not all, but most. And I was like, run for office? Oh my God, no. I would love to be the county clerk. That would look like great work, fun work, but not to run for office. Never. I can't wrench, only the channel owner can. We can talk post-show about it, Becky. Is he a permanent? You can make him a moderator that was like a super moderator. And then anytime he's on your lives, he can do that. But there's two kinds of moderators in YouTube settings. Community, right? You go into community and then, right? Is that where it is? I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think I realized what happened. So I can't actually watch. Okay, here's what happened. My daughter last night was being a naughty girl, and she went on my computer in the middle of the night to do something. She wanted to learn how to crochet something. I wish I had it here to show you. It's actually quite cute, so I can't get too mad. But I know. She has my YouTube in kids mode, which I don't know how it got switched to kids mode, and I'm glad that it did so that she didn't fall upon any weird content overnight. But I can't access my account with my normal stuff because it's giving me this, you're no longer able to access your channel because your computer is in kids mode. And switching it out of kids mode is probably going to take me a minute or two longer than normal because I don't know what the heck she did and how to.
This is the new digital equivalent of the children tying the mother to the chair.
Right. Or locking us out of the car or the house.
Out of the car or
Yeah. So I apologize that no one will be wrenched for now, but I will give everybody supersonic access privileges upon some future date after I wring my daughter's neck.
Close up everything when I moved to the country. That's quite a story. There's a lot going on there.
Who said about moving to the country?
Angry Otter.
Oh, I see. Why can't I see that?
Well, he was running for Congress and then started reselling as a distraction, which turned full-time during the pandemic, and he closed everything up when he moved to the country. That's a lot of story in a very small paragraph.
So Michael has one of the most exciting and colorful backstories. He's also like a movie. Michael, tell about your movie career and producing and being in movies and stuff. And now he is a travel agent, but a commercial corporate travel agent, right? All of the people, I feel like everybody who I've met who is in the reselling world is an interesting person. And I think we're excited by these novel, unique items, and we're out. We enjoy the hunt. We enjoy the story. I feel like you can't be in reselling without being interesting. And I'm sure that there's some kind of connection there with how we've all come into this crazy. I mean, this isn't like an accounting job where you come in and run totals and calculate things and then bail out for the day. It's not that kind of desk job. So it's neat to know everyone's colorful backstories. Patrick says, actually, you don't want to make someone a super mod unless you know them. Yeah, that's
you have
true.
to know them.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Hello. Hope everyone had a good start to the weekend. Hi, Phil Five and Dime. I don't know you. Are you new?
Well, right now her daughter has more power than she does on her channel. So
Amen, Heidi. Yeah, I think you're right about the super mod, and I don't think I knew the difference. And I think I might have been confused and given out some of that to some people and other levels to other people. So I'll have to go in and reassess that if I'm ever granted power back into my channel. It's literally like when I go the back door to be like, see your channel, that's what I'm locked out of. So I'm gonna have to spend
You
some
can't
time.
get into Creator Studio?
No, that's what I mean. That's what I'm locked
Right,
out of,
okay.
like my password and stuff.
So I want to know, time to clean house. Yeah. So Patrick says, that's why I'm a crappy reseller. I'm not interesting. LOL. What's the evidence that he's a crappy reseller? Do we have any of that? Because usually
Negative.
people present evidence of what a fabulous reseller they are, and there's no proof of that. So this is sort of an interesting approach to claim yourself a crappy reseller.
Patrick is an awesome reseller. He's so knowledgeable, and he's, in my opinion, he's thoughtful about the way he approaches things. Sometimes I feel like I'm a lunatic, and I feel like every piece of advice he's given me has always been very thoughtful and well researched.
He never gives me any advice.
Maybe I'm just like that much of a hot mess that you don't need that advice. Phil has been around for a while. Glad to see your channel keep growing. Me too. It's been such a crazy couple days, even since my live on Tuesday, my live sale, and where I am now. I reached a milestone. I'm over 100 subscribers, which is like epic. Not compared to you, Heidi. You just reached your 1,000, which is just, I can't even wrap my head around. But then also Johnny granted me, I'm the channel of the week on his show. So I just feel like so honored. I just feel honored. And my motivation for being here on YouTube is just to hang out and have friends. And now I feel like I have them. Michael
I think out in your driveway, you should have put up a little sign, reserve parking for YouTube channel of the week. So your whole family knows, and gives you a little
special.
more.
Yeah.
I told you, celebrate these milestones when they happen.
I know. Yeah. Well, I'm celebrating here within the people who it matters. I think my family would be like, sure, Mom. Okay, what are you up to now? Okay. It's always one harebrained thing or another. You're half-ass at it. LOL. You make it fun. You don't know if something sell. Patrick has sold, like, so Patrick's, is it your mom who has a storage locker that's full of gem after gem after gem? And you know what all those things are and what they're worth. And I think you're right. I think you do make it fun, but I don't think that you, I think you're wrong in the assessment that you are a bad reseller. I think you're an awesome reseller. I'm not worthy to give you advice. I learned from you.
He's not worthy.
Your spreadsheet. Yeah, I love your organized approach, Heidi.
Oh, many people would say that I'm wasting a lot of time, that I could actually just be listing things by keeping all this information.
No,
but I can tell you the last time I went to a particular Goodwill and how many items from that trip I've sold, and stupid stuff like that.
But I think that that's valuable, because then like what are good buys, what are bad buys, how much time you spent, where you got it, when you got it, was it worth it?
Supposedly, that's the theory.
Well, some people can remember that, and some people like to see it on spreadsheets. Yeah. So, did you see Michael's comment? He said he made a movie. His cousin is a major movie star, and the movie Lawless is about his family. He lived in Tokyo and the Philippines, ran for Congress. He was the leisure travel director for PACAF, and he's done a lot. And that's like just a small thumbnail of Michael. And I'm new to knowing Michael, but Michael, you're another one.
He's what, like 29?
Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't know his age, but he looks young when I've seen him. Michael's another one who, especially like when he watches my craziness, he'll be like, Becky, honey, that's not worth anything. Like when we play cash or crap, he's like, it's crap. Move on. But he's so level-headed and just calm and thoughtful in his advice, and I so appreciate that.
What does he think of my skirt?
Oh, did you see Heidi? Well, I know that that's cash. That's an awesome, epic skirt.
51. That's a great age. You'll settle down soon.
Michael, did you see Heidi's skirt when she was showing it? It's a knit skirt. It's got pleating. It's got a matching top.
It's either amazing or it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. But it's mine.
mine, gosh darn it. Oh,
Becky's-
we're in it now.
Becky's a listing machine. Yeah. She's probably listed 5 things while we were just talking all night.
No, I'm just going through my inventory now. I'm
Oh,
trying.
I thought you had an announcement to make. We had to call you doctor now, and you're going
What would give you that?
all on next.
No, I'm just pulling things out of my bag. Actually, I don't mind selling caps and gowns because the last one I sold, somebody needed it in a pinch, and they were like, "I'll pay any price, just get it to me right away." I was like,
Can't you-
"Okay."
Boy, all the people who've graduated in my family recently, the thing felt like it was worth about $19.99. So
I know. Yeah,
unless
and
you're
like,
a college professor who wears it every year to commencement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the last one I sold it for like $20 or something, which is
really,
Mhm.
that's astonishing. And
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out what I ever said in Patrick's presence to give him the mistaken idea. I know what I'm talking about. It's just the whole thing is baffling to me. I already have. That's why I live in the country. Oh, he's settled down. Okay.
He's
Which
gotten his life under control. As for me or the rest of us, jury's still out.
So is that a consignment thing, or did you pick that out?
No, it's consignment.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I think admire is the right word. I admire your ability to make consignment part of your business model, because to me that would be like, A, I have to deal with other people's feelings, and B, other people's stuff that I didn't pick out.
Yeah. So
a horror story. And only get half as much money. And only get half as much money.
yeah, it has allowed me to get access to some things that, like, some really great brands and great stuff. Like, I have Coach, Louis Vuitton, and some other, like, like I sold this one bag for $600. It was like a leather briefcase, and some
Wow.
of the figurines and the vintage things, and Lululemon and Madewell and Free People. Like, I have some consigners who bring me these top brands, and
Sure.
I don't have to go anywhere. They bring it to me, and whatnot. However, the sourcing component, where I get control over my inventory, is eliminated from that. And then I have things like cap and gown and other things that may or may not, like, I have the ability to list it or not. This is for the fundraiser that I do, so it is more like a hodgepodge kind of assortment on things. And most people wouldn't say that that's worth their time of taking the time to list it. So I kind of have a threshold of where I'll list it or not. And that's where this new live selling component kind of plays a part. Now, I don't think a cap and gown would be appropriate for that, because what are the odds that someone, of the 50 people who are watching that live, what are the odds that one of those people needs that item? But for the other things that are like household items and just basic generic stuff, that is perfect for that kind of forum. So I'm happy to have it, but I do have to have it play a certain role in my reselling business compared to the things that I'm selling for myself, because that's where I think my main money is my own things that I'm sourcing on my own. Yeah. Michael said if he still had the warehouse, he would love to go clear out a hoarder's house. Oh man. So, but I guess it depends on who the hoarder is, though, because yeah, mouse poopy and like
if it was somebody who was addicted to going to this premium mall or the downtown or Michigan Avenue or wherever, Rodeo Drive, and compulsively shopping and just piling it up in corners and just couldn't stop and hoarded it, all of that would be fun.
Yeah.
But the person who saves shopping bags in McDonald's burger containers forever.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's one of my newest consigners who I just started working with. He's consigning because he helped this hoarder. Well, she wasn't a hoarder. She was a shopping addict in the last years of her life. Yeah. Basically, after she got sick, she was housebound, and that's what made her feel better. She was addicted to shopping on QVC and HSM, and everything is still new in the bags.
Yeah.
And so, like, yes, you could have a hoarder's home who has great stuff, and then, like you said, it could be, not so great. Speaking of how serious I take this, I just sold my Oscar Mayer wiener. Hold on, let's see if I can open this link. Oh, can I want to see it, Patrick. And it's not letting me. Copy. It's not letting me get to the link.
I can copy it.
I want to know.
You can retire now.
Yeah, so once you can peel back decades, not uneaten pizza boxes on the
Nice
floor.
work. $350 plus shipping. Way to go.
Oh.
So proud of you.
Oh, I love that. But you found that Wienermobile a really good home, and that feels good, doesn't it, Patrick? Was that where did that item come from? Was that from the storage locker? What do we think about this? It's crazy wrinkled. It's a Paris, a scarf with the Eiffel Tower. It's satin. It says Dormant, Paris. Ooh la 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 la.
Show me that again. Is that what it says?
Oh, yeah.
It looked like there were more letters. Is that
maybe?
What's the black mark right before that?
I?
Is it?
Or one? DORMONT, Dormant, Paris. It's satin and it's wrinkled and it has the Eiffel Tower and it says Paris on it. And it is a scarf. Cash or crap.
Nobody's ever heard of it. Oh,
yeah.
J. Could it be a J?
Yes, it could be a J.
Other people are selling scarves by J. Dormant.
Yes, I think it is. I think it's worn off a little bit. D''OR, maybe.
There we go.
Cash or crap?
You'll sell it, but not for much, and it'll take a while.
Okay. Swipe right. And it needs to be laundered, steamed, etc. It's a J. See, Michael is always right there with that. It's a J.
What does J mean?
It's not an I that said I Dormant. It was
oh. I'd already forgotten that we had that conversation.
Oh dear.
I think that selling Oscar Mayer Wiener whistles is an important role in society.
I agree.
In all sincerity, that's something that needs to happen, and thank God that Patrick's doing it.
There you go. He's progressing our culture single-handedly. I do think that those little bits of history and those little things like that's to me some of the stuff that I sell is like, I know that this isn't going to pay my bills and it's not going to save the world, but it's the fun.
But you saved it.
Yeah. Or I sold it because someone else saved it. But one very similar for $30. Okay. I mean, sold. Is it a sold comp or just listed?
Yeah, I found 4 or 5 that were listed but none sold in the last 90 days. So that's why I said you could sell it for 20 or 25, but it would take a little while.
I'm going to take a Heidi approach to this scarf, and I am going to list it for less than that, and I'm going to see how quickly I can't flip it. How about that? WWHD. What would Heidi do? What's my other thing? When did that get off the bus? I'm going to send that little item off the bus. What would Kurt do?
Oh, that's hilarious.
On that note, I need to land this ship because it's 9:30 and I still have a little bit of reselling work to do. And then I'm reading a really good book and I'm going to let myself have the rest of the night off and just enjoy it. I had a busy day and I went out with after the locker room debacle that I mentioned. I was literally shaking after confronting that woman. I ended up having a really nice dinner out with some of my girlfriends and we had a good time. And but I didn't get a lot of work done today. And I don't always work on Saturdays, but since my birthday a couple weeks ago, I've been just had a little trouble getting back into the swing of things. So I need to get some.
Well, I listed 12 today, so I feel fine with taking the evening off.
Good girl. Good. See, you make me.
Five is my goal.
You got 12 done. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for hanging out with me and coming on live, Heidi. I appreciate it.
To find out everybody's backstory and real name and
I
all
love
of
that you
that's
made some new
great.
friends tonight.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you everyone in the chat for coming to say hi and hanging out with us. Congratulate Heidi on having 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. You have to do something cool to celebrate. I'll be watching your channel to see what the celebration is.
I could give away my favorite tool.
Which is the linter. The linter. Oh, what is that? Is it a scissor with a
It's a scissor. Do you ever trim?
scissor?
Do you ever trim threads
Yeah.
and you use a scissor, right?
I use a scrapbooking scissor, which has the little teeny tiny, it's like a snip. We call them snips.
So
Yeah.
like this?
No, but it's an actual scissor. I like that because now you
This
don't
is
even
a
have to put your
Fiskars thread
fingers in.
snips.
You
And
don't
it
even have to
gets
put your
so
fingers in it.
close, flat, and you won't cut holes in things like you do with scissors.
Heidi,
But-
I will be there for that giveaway, and I will hope like the Dickens that I win because I like that. Oh, you should see my scissors. I have. Hold on. First of all, I know I say the word scissors wrong, but I never remember what I do. I'm from New York, and I call them. It's a pair of scissors, right?
Yeah.
I say, pass me the scissor. But I always have to remember what is it that I say wrong. Okay. So I have them hanging from a belt harness so that I can snip my things and then like let it go because it's always in and out of my pocket. So I actually think, can you hang this up again? Does it have like a loop on it?
Well,
Yes.
close.
Yes.
I have my phone on a lanyard,
Me too. Yeah.
so I can drop that when I'm shooting pictures.
I do the same thing with my pair of scissors. I let them dangle. And now I kind of tuck them in the pocket, but it's always on this cord so that I can have it easy access. I don't want to be fumbling for it. If there's a thread, yeah.
I actually just have 3.
You got me beat, girl.
I have a lint roller and scissors here and over by my photography. And I used to package over there, but I moved that. So I don't like to walk around.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have them dangling from my waist because they're always on me and I put my uniform on.
If you ever videotape yourself doing reselling work, it will change your life because you'll say, why do I keep doing that?
Yeah.
Why don't I put an extra trash can there? Or why don't I get another?
I actually should. I should do a video or even just show you, Heidi. You should see my setup. I have hacked so many things to make my life more productive. I have a drop ceiling in my photography room and I have all these things dangling from the ceiling, my bag, so that like when I rip it off and then the new roll circles, like I have all these hacks and it's like, I feel like it's like, go gadget bag, go gadget
machine. Patrick said you were a machine. You are, you've been, you've got those processes going.
I am cuckoo.
Except for the, going live, that always slows you down.
It does, but it's needed sometimes so that I can feel connected and a little bit more grounded and sane. But anyhow, all right, party people. Heidi, we will be looking for your live celebration where you auction off your snip, your snip scissors. I will be there for that. And until we meet again, I'm not sure when I'll be on again. Do you know when you'll be on again?
I never have a clue what I'm doing.
Same here. So, all right. Well, thank you for chatting. We'll find each other again soon.
So much fun.
And thank you to everyone in the chat. I will find you and I'll wrench everybody once I figure out how to get back. So have a good night. Bye, everyone.